Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. I'm getting a lot of blowback from some DC fans for apparently being too negative about this Superman movie and about James Gunn. Ever since I launched this channel in 2018, you know who I am. I'm very direct and I'm very honest. If you want passive aggressive positivity, you have come to the wrong place. If you want me to lie to you or for me to kind of simp creatives or studios, you have come to the absolute wrong place. If you're too fragile to listen to somebody's genuine, honest opinion about movies and entertainment and DC especially, you have come to the very wrong place. I have never gone after James Gunn like some of these men have. That is not my style. But I have been very honest about how I feel about James Gunn making a Superman movie. I've spoken about the positive things that his type of movies can bring to Superman, but I've also given my concerns. I've given you my concerns about what I've seen and heard thus far about this movie. There's a lot of the flying sequences that I find problematic. I believe the best flying was in Superman 78. I'm sorry if that offends you at the end of the day, but these are my honest feelings. I have no idea if James Gunn's Superman will be great to mid to bad. I haven't seen it, but I have every right, and this is why you come into me and give me 5 likes every day, because you get my genuine inside opinion from the industry, right? That's what you want. You want an honest person. We're all fed up of these, Matt Ramos types or these campier types who simp studios and creatives. You want a genuine fan that happens to have had a father who worked in the inside of Hollywood. It doesn't make me a big expert. It just makes my opinion informed. So I'm not going after James Gunn. I'm not suddenly being negative about his movie. I'm being honest, and I've been positive and negative. The official teaser was fantastic, but they lost that marketing guru to Apple. And ever since then, maybe the promotions and marketing, maybe in terms of what we've seen, haven't been the best. The leaks from test screenings have been ridiculous. How have you allowed these leaks to come out, WB? I've had blowback for saying that I'm disappointed that James Gunn's episodic narrative was deleted within this movie. That is true. Some people are saying, well, there were only title cards of days. Well, it's a bit more than that, because if you've got title cards for a day, for certain every day of the week, that is the narrative of your story. Basically, you're cataloguing every day of Superman's life. And by cutting that out, it changes the narrative. Anyone who knows anything about telling a story understands that. I have the right to say these things. I have criticised and complimented Zack Snyder, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Oliver Stone, all the great directors, right? I love those guys. And I have an appreciation for some of Gunn's directorial sensibilities, but he is a one-trick pony. He does do the same things all the time, and he's doing the same things here. It looks like he was trying to be slightly bold and different with the episodic narrative, and let's not forget they have shaved 20 to 30 minutes of this movie, squeezing it down to 2 hours. But I do not know if this film is going to be successful. I've given you my opening domestic weekend prediction of 70 to 100 million. If I'm wrong about anything I've said in a negative element about James Gunn, about my concerns, I will hold my hands up, apologise to him, and congratulate him personally via tagging him on social media. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. But this is what we do on our YouTube channels. This is what content creators have to do. We have to be brave, we have to be bold, and speak honestly and openly about our views. And everyone has an opinion about this movie. It is a Superman movie. This is what James Gunn signed up for. Constructive criticism. Everyone's gonna have an opinion about Superman knocking a villain's teeth out. I have those opinions. Grace Randolph has those opinions. Everybody, people you've never heard of before, we've never heard of before, have opinions about Superman. That, my friends, is what James Gunn, Zack Snyder, Dick Donner, Bryan Singer, Gotham Miller, the producers and creatives of Superman and Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman and Superman and Lois, anyone, The New Adventures of Superman from the 50s, anyone who takes on, a pre-existing iconic character like Superman is going to get these opinions. People keep on saying it's about Snyder versus Gunn stands. It's not just that. There's the Henry Cavill stands. The fans who can't believe they replaced this great Superman. The reality is that people still see Henry Cavill as Superman. And that's a big problem. It's been a big problem prior to Cavill that everyone saw Christopher Reeve as Superman. And when Man of Steel came out, you had the people who saw Christopher Reeve as Superman and the other people who saw Tom Welling as Superman. So credit to Henry, and we'll talk about Man of Steel because it was celebrating its 12th anniversary, 12 years since Man of Steel was released yesterday. I forgot all about it as I was recording yesterday's video, so I think we should talk about Man of Steel a little bit as well, very, very shortly. So I have opinions. I have every right to those opinions. I don't think I've said anything below the belt about Gunn. I've avoided criticising him over his historical tweets, his fancy dress fetishes, right? I've decided not to talk about it. It's in the past, and as long as nothing more deeper and more disturbing comes out, I'm happy to leave it at that. But I'm someone who doesn't talk about problematic Hollywood people very much. Why? Because if I criticise people from Hollywood boycotted their movies because of their illicit practices, I would never have seen one movie in my entire life. Now, I know some of you truly believe in New Hollywood still. You believe that these people are kind, compassionate, talented people. I believe most of these people are fucking Arthur Dailies, con man, and hacks. That's how I see them. And there's the odd good creatives and actors still out there. I enjoyed Top Gun Maverick. I don't think there was any need for a Top Gun sequel. I don't think it's one of the greatest, best sequels of cinematic history like some do, but I enjoyed it. I was surprised Top Gun Maverick was any good, and I believe it's because we didn't go with the whole, oh, he's got a kid now and the kid's going to take over the mantle. No, it was about Tom Cruise and Maverick. That's what people wanted to see. I'm worried about a Top Gun 3. I know I'm changing the subject, but I think maybe they may be milking the cow too much. But these days, Hollywood love to do that. Anyway, I digress. So, I will continue giving you my genuine, honest opinion about James Gunn's Superman and the DCU. When I'm excited about something, I'll tell you that I'm excited. And when I want to criticize something from my heart, from my genuine beliefs and opinions, that's what this channel will do. I'm not a successful content creator. Barely anybody likes me, watches me, shares my stuff, and that's okay. Whoever's here and supports, thank you. Whoever appreciates my inside information and my honesty about all the information that comes out about entertainment, especially the DCU, which is where we're at. I've got certain opinions. I don't think we should have gone. I don't think we should have axed one cinematic universe in the DCEU, then started another one straight away. You don't split, you don't come out of an emotionally compelling relationship that's hurt you and hurt your heart and jump into another unless you're a complete fucking idiot. They should have made standalone DC movies every 2 to 3 years. That's where the energy is now for CBMs. As far as the general audience, normies, and the public are concerned, they've had enough of 4 or 5 comic book movies a year. You know it, and I know it, and we need to stop pretending about that. But I am still planning, as I keep on telling you all, to go and watch Superman in the Nicosia Mall, Cyprus, the Cyprus Mall, back to back. And I will watch it with an open mind and an open heart, like I do all movies. I do not want this movie to fail. I want this movie to deserve, to succeed. No movie, no matter who's making it, who or what it's about, has the divine right to be loved if it's a fucking bunch of shit. That was my challenge to James Gunn from the beginning. Make a fucking great Superman movie we can all be proud of. We've heard some disturbing things, we've heard some exciting things. On the 8th or 9th of July, at last, I can get to see what all the fuss is about. Is the box office hype true? I have my doubts. If I'm wrong and this movie's going to make a hell of a lot of fucking money and beat Man of Steel, good luck to it. If it deserves to do so. And it won't be successful because the public these days have got a lot more nous about what they want to see and what they don't want to see. And we will see. When we look at the seating plans, it's not looking very good for James Gunn's Superman, but that means absolutely nothing to this point. I do not read reviews. I don't read reviews. I don't pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes scores. I will read some reviews, other reviews for Superman out as part of my coverage of this movie in the DCU. But I don't rate movies, and I don't have debates throwing Rotten Tomato scores and bad reviews of stuff that you love in your face, because that's a pie eater mentality. So I've made my position absolutely clear here. Now moving on. Happy birthday, Man of Steel, which celebrated its 12-year anniversary yesterday. I think I saw this film about 3-4 times. I can't remember how many times in the cinema. I was so shocked and stunned how visually beautiful it was. I was as shocked and stunned how contemporary this movie was. I was bowled away how brave and bold Goya and Nolan and Snyder were with Man of Steel. They threw all the nostalgia away. Well, as I said before, there's loads of Smallville nostalgia because that was the Superman that everybody knew and loved at that time. Michael Rosenbaum was the Lex Luthor everybody knew and loved at that time. Tom Welling was the Clark Kent Superman everybody loved at that time. For the first time since Christopher Reeve, another actor was becoming beloved as the character. And I don't feel that Dean Cain had that love as Superman. He had some, lots of women loved Dean as Superman and Clark, but he didn't have the popularity of Tom Welling or now of Henry Cavill. Tom Welling and Henry Cavill did something amazing. They made people slightly move on from Sir Christopher Reeve, who's still my Superman, but I have many Supermans. Tom Welling is my Superman as well as Sir Christopher Reeve. Henry Cavill is my Superman. I don't have to choose one or the other. I know modern day movie Twitter won't agree with that. Man of Steel is a beautiful movie, but like all movies made by human hands, they are flawed. It is not perfect, but the people who made it, I don't think regret what they did. They wanted to avoid the Donna movie. They wanted to make their own modern day movie. They wanted people to question someone who comes from another planet who has the powers of a god. That's what Man of Steel, and especially BVS, attempted to do. Man of Steel has aged beautifully. It is not for everyone. Some people hate it because it's not a traditional Superman movie, because it pushes back on the Superman traditions and it tries to become a little bit contemporary using contemporary themes. I do believe there are a lot of 9/11 aesthetics there. There's a lot of environmental commentary in Man of Steel about how we fuck up our own planet here on Earth, and we're looking for other planets to fuck up and move humanity too. And it's all in the BTS footage as well, in the interviews. Michael Shannon actually talks about this a lot, and Russell Crowe mainly did this movie because it had that type of commentary, because Russell Crowe is a huge environmentalist, and I absolutely respect that. I am not a climate change denier, by the way. I'm not someone who believes Krypton is just shifting its orbit. But a lot of people out there are in denial, and that's okay. I love this movie. I think Amy Adams is an outstanding Lois Lane, but not a traditional one. She's not all lovey-dovey, you know. She doesn't just bow and scrape to Superman. She loves him for who he is rather than what he can do. And I think that's a bit of a difference to other interpretations. So she's a great Lois Lane, but they weren't really interested in doing, you know, focusing on the romantic element too much. They wanted action. They wanted the compelling nature. They wanted the 9/11 nature of a contemporary Superman movie. A Superman that begins, that doesn't know all the answers and doesn't always do the right thing. Sometimes he makes mistakes. He acts on impulse, like he starts pushing Zod about and they crash into the petrol station. Superman does this without thinking because Zod threatens Ma Kent. And as Superman says, you think you can threaten my mother. The blood rush has gone to the head. He's not thinking. But Superman would never do that. But he's not the finished article in this movie. It actually is an origin movie. And it works. The way they do it with the flashbacks and everything is absolutely fantastic. The score is one of the best scores in movie history and in comic book movie history, absolutely equaling what John Williams did with Superman 78. I'm never going to trash the Superman 78 score because it's beautiful and wonderful. I don't have to trash something to uplift something else. But Hans Zimmer is the master, isn't he? And it's a great score. The emotional beats in the score are as beautiful and compelling as the action, the robust action music and score as well. And we'll see what James Gunn's Superman score via John Murphy and the HBO guy do with that movie. Again, I'll be honest with all of that. But Man of Steel is a classic, for me personally. It's a classic. As I say, there's a lot of divisive conversations about Man of Steel, but looking back at it 12 years later, it hasn't aged a day, and oh boy, the ghost of Man of Steel will be haunting James Gunn's Superman come July the 11th. Let's hope James Gunn and Superman 2025 aren't afraid of ghosts.